Morning, everyone. Namaskar. Hope you guys are doing well. So let's begin. So for anybody new joining today, the way we start the session is 10 minutes of meditative silence. So in this, we'll just close our eyes and whatever the thoughts are coming through, just let them come through. The example is as if you're standing on the railway platform and the train is coming and going. So you're just watching your thoughts come and go. No need to engage or anything. It's more about trying to find that silence within and trying to hold on to that. So I'll set the timer. If everybody can be on mute, that'll be great. And I'll let you guys know once 10 minutes are up. Right? Okay, let's give it a minute for you guys to come out of it slowly. Right. How's everybody feeling?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, good, Matt.
Excellent.
Right. So today, those who attended the last session, which was October 13th, and I know some of you were unable to, but have looked at the video. Um, any questions from the last session we had? Any follow-up questions? Any observations? Did anybody try to contemplate on what was said? Um, Try to implement some stuff in your day-to-day lives? See any? So anything? Any observations? Any comments? Nope. Okay. So today, what I wanted to do was talk about. So the first um, principle or the element of the threefold path was right understanding. And this is, you know, I would say is divided into five, I guess, core understandings, which is, the truth being non-dual. So what is that? That's one. The second is I am as pure consciousness. What does that mean? Um, Third is, the thoughts, the mind, and the nature of both the mind and the thoughts. Fourth will be on, what is consciousness and the states of consciousness. And fifth, of course, the important one is ego, individuality, and the elements that kind of function within the idea of individuality, which is, karma, free will, and destiny. So as we go through our journeys through this, in different satsangs, we'll probably touch on each point. And just to let everybody know here, because you guys are the regulars, so I started the book, which I had said on my last satsang, and the first draft would probably be ready by end of November. And then I would, like to share the first draft with everybody on this call uh, to come back and, give their feedback or comments on, if there's something that, needs to be elaborated further, or it's not clear, or, needs to be clarified better. But the first draft of the book on the threefold path to a, so the title is Threefold Path to a Peaceful, Joyful, and Harmonious Life. So the book's been designed not only from perspective of people to learn the path and understand the truth, but also to realize, remember, and then try and be the truth. And some will try and go all the way. Some will be, but at least the way the book's written is to take the teachings and implement that into your daily life as practices, and at least see improvements in your daily life. So that's happening. So I think after this satsang, I think for this year, it probably be the last satsang, maybe one just before Christmas. But I'm really now focused on finishing the book because I think that's an important aspect going forward. So on today's, one of the points in the right understanding is thoughts. And I thought this would be, as I was writing the book, I thought this would be a good one of the first topics to discuss. There's a saying, Buddha had a very famous saying, you are what your thoughts are. And to all of us on this call, I know, we are inundated by thoughts throughout our days, like even at times in the night, when you're dreaming, they're just, you know, dream is nothing but another state of consciousness, but, it's still, you have thoughts and memories, and everything is defined as thoughts. So the mind is nothing but an aggregate of all your thoughts. So the first question I have for you guys is, what do you think thoughts are? And has anybody on this call ever tried to figure out what is the source or the origin of the thoughts? Or do you just take the thoughts to be, you take it for granted that they're just there? So the first question I have for the group is, have you ever thought of, um, or have you ever tried to find out what is the origin of these thoughts?
I think thoughts may be your subconscious, like all your perpetuating tasks or a collective of things you have to do or just needs that you may have.
Okay. Anybody else?
I had an idea about thoughts, and being that our minds are almost like antennas, and thoughts are things that are constantly swirling around, maybe not just within our heads, but everywhere, and um, how we perceive what's the world around us creates those thoughts. Um,
Okay.
almo-
Go ahead, Matt. Finish it.
yeah, no, that was pretty much it. It was that was a good question.
Srinivas, you want to say something?
Yes, Sri Ashish. Thoughts, source of thoughts are the experiences that we had and the future experiences we want to have.
Okay.
Yeah, that.
Anybody else?
Uh-huh.
Poonam, go ahead.
Good evening. Good
Good evening.
evening. Good evening. So first of all, a very nice question. The origin of thoughts. So to me, the origin of thoughts would be my experiences with the word, my interactions with the word. And so there is a lot of I in it. So my experiences is with the word, my feelings, my reactions, the word's reactions, and then I'm thinking and thoughts are coming. Why did this person do that? What did I do? What should I have done? What could I have done better? uh, you know and so on and so forth. What are my expectations? How can I be successful? What would so all those so that is my origin. The origin of my thoughts is revolving around I and my I's reaction and interactions with a limited amount of people with whom we interact, and we call them word you know
Okay.
so
Okay.
that is the origin of thoughts.
Okay.
Uh, Guruji, good morning.
Good morning.
Pete here.
Good morning.
My concept of thought is memory plus imagination. When these two come together, that becomes a thought.
Okay. So Poonam had a interesting, um, I guess, definition. But Poonam, so you said it's the I, right? So do you think the I is something physical, or is it also a thought?
Yes, now as I read your book, finished 4 chapters on going on to the fifth. So
Okay.
yes, you say that I is not there, but then it is just a knowledge that okay,
Right.
this I which I am identifying with, that oh my God, I'm thinking I and I and I. So this I is only is not there. So now, so I have to still understand that this I is not there. I'm still an I. So
Okay. But what if the I
The
is
thoughts
itself?
also stem
Okay.
from thoughts or stem from, of course, experiences, past experiences, imagination, yes, and also from fears and worries. Lots of
Right.
thoughts are related to your fears and your worries.
But what is the origin? So somewhere it must have started, right? Even when you say it's from your past experiences, or if people who believe in past life, let's say they say past, but there has to be a starting point. See, everybody assumes that your starting point is now. You assume that the physical aspect, which is matter in your body, when you're born, that's the starting point of thoughts. No, but matter by its very nature is inert. So something drives the matter, which is then driven by something else. So what is the origin? What is the first thought? Which is where Poonam was coming to. So the first thought is the I thought, because without that I thought, no other thoughts are possible. The I basically pervades this I called the individuality as a thought. But if the I itself is a thought, then what is the origin of that? There has to be a starting point somewhere. Even if this whole aspect of creation we believe is illusionary, even the start of the illusion has to be from somewhere. So the question then is that have we ever contemplated on where is this origin? Because, go ahead, Anil.
I think there is no beginning, there is no end.
Yeah,
If
you're
you
you're
really want to think, there is no starting point.
you're, you're
It's
you're
like
jumping.
time.
I
It's like
know, I know.
time.
Yeah.
There is no time before time, and there is no time after time. There is no space inside the space, no space outside the space. There is no beginning and no end.
So if there's no beginning and no end, then what are we doing?
Yeah, it's just the consciousness. It's just the awareness, and that's it.
Then why are we all so bothered about thoughts, guys?
Because we are misled, because we are ignorant, we just do not realize it. We do not have the right knowledge, as you have been talking about.
Correct.
That's the reason of all this problem. Once you have understood that, then all the worries and fears will go away. But we don't. We continue to think that I am doing this, I have this worry, I have to graduate, I have to make money. But there is no I and there's no making money. It's just the consciousness, the awareness of it.
So what Anil said, guys, questions on that? Does everybody agree with what Anil is saying?
Mm, my idea is that we reach that understanding because of the limits of our mind, or what we can feel with the eye. The only thing we can do is extinguishing the eye, but it doesn't mean that we found the true nature of existence.
But how would you extinguish the I if what Anil is saying that the I itself is a thought, is not real?
Um, our family went to Apple store and we had a test run of Vision Pro, Guruji.
Yeah.
And when we wore that device, whatever we are experiencing, if it becomes a permanent experience, then it's very hard for anyone to recognize that they had an outside body and outside world, because you are stuck in that device, and whatever you are seeing is the only reality accessible to you. But the body and mind also, like that, where we are stuck in this body and mind, and we do not know what is there outside of this body and mind. So all that is possible for us is exiting this. Then only we get to know what is there beyond. Being inside, I do not know how we can say what is there beyond. Like,
Correct. Okay. So what you're saying is, as long as you're identified with that reality seems to be real. Correct?
right. And
So the
also, yeah, we do not know what is there if we do not identify itself with it, is what I'm saying.
so don't worry about what is there. Worry about how do you to ask this question, right? Don't worry about what is there or not there, because that thing which is there is always there. So worry about how do you practice
Yes.
identification. How do you practice letting go or practice non-attachment? Because when you let go, or when all of this reality that you've identified with, you stop identifying with, then what will remain will always remain, which was always there. The problem is that you're trying, a lot of people try to achieve something which is already there. There's nothing to be achieved or attained. So the exercise or the realization is not of trying to attain or achieve something new, is to figuring out and going back to the source and realizing that there is nothing there to be attached or identified with.
But after that, what is the question? Yes, that is very quick to learn and understand, Guruji, because see, when we understand that body and mind are illusion, after that, what?
Why are you worried about that? First, try to get to a point. After getting to that point, if you still have any questions left to ask after this is what, then ask the question. The problem is that you want all the answers right away without doing it, because then the mind says, okay, if that's not it. So I have this, a lot of people argue one thing with me, but how do you know this is the end? What if there is something beyond this end? How do you know this? There is only pure consciousness. There may be something behind the pure consciousness. So my answer is, okay, get to pure consciousness. At least that we all know is what our scriptures are saying. That's what all the masters are saying. That's what all the people who've experienced are saying. Let's get to that point. If you get to pure consciousness and you're aware of that and you remain in that consciousness, 24/7, then if you have more questions to say, what after this? Ask that question.
You know, Srinivas, I can give you a practical example, right? The way I think about this. So, if you actually have understood that you are beyond your mind and body, you are pure consciousness, then when a situation comes where you are anxious or you have some worries or you have some aspirations at that time, especially when you have worries, when you have fear, right? Ask then, are you happy inside? It is not worrying you. Because if it is worrying you, that means you do not really understood or at least have realized that pure consciousness. That's the test. Because if you are kind of worrying and have fears and have guilt and have frustration, that means more work needs to be done. So understanding just the concept of it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters because it's beginning, it's a starting point, but that you got to always keep testing yourself, right? And if the testing actually is failing, that means more work needs to be done. That means the understanding is not complete.
Yes, Anil. I see and accept your point. But after that, see, I'm able to experience that also. But now I'm unable to understand, is it the mind limiting us from knowing this? Are we stopping at the pure consciousness as the end because that is the limit of our mind? Or is it limit of our, it is a limit of our experience? We can imagine more than that is what I'm saying. Can we?
So if you dissolve in your origin, what will be beyond the origin?
Well, see, Guruji, that Vision Pro test we should all go for. If the headset is stuck to us for our entirety of life, then we forget our body existence and outside world existence, and we believe whatever is playing on the headset. But if we remove the headset, it's not pure consciousness that is sitting there. There is another different world in which Anil and other Guruji interaction is happening. But this headset may be playing an
So what you're
experience on a
correct.
Mars
I've got
for
your
a
point.
lifetime.
I've got your
Right.
point. But what you're saying is, how do I know whether that is pure consciousness or not, and nothing beyond it, right?
Right.
So and what I'm saying is that once you reach pure consciousness, if you still have any more questions, if these questions today that are arising in your mind, if the same questions arise, no problem, keep asking.
Yeah, that point also I get, Guruji. But I don't know if what is there to understand pure consciousness. Yes, we are there. Then what?
Then what will happen is your suffering, your miseries, your frustrations, your guilt, all will go away. That's
But as
why.
an observer, you let them keep happening and remember that it is just drama and let the suffering and misery happen.
No, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in
I wish it
making
was.
sure.
I wish it was that easy, Mr. Srinivas. Just to say that let it happen and let it, it's not that easy,
Uh,
right? Because if you have these emotions of guilt, frustration, anger, regret, right? Things. Why did this happen? Why does this happen to me only, right? As human beings, we do face all these emotions. So it's just not easy to say that let it just be there, because as Ashish was trying to tell us, that first we need to reach a point where we need to dissolve the I, because we have all these emotions, we have all this turbulence within us because we are saying it happened to me. Why am I going through this? Why am I being subjected to this kind of pain, misery, whatever, right? Because it's only related to all the negative emotions, right? Do you ever say, why am I so happy? I don't think so. I think most of us always dwell into things that are not, which we feel are not in our favor, or things that have not left some positive impact on our lives. So see, if you need to get to that stage where, first of all, it's really hard. I mean, it's not easy to dissolve the I, because everything we associate with ourselves, right? This happened to me, this happened to my child, things like that. So it is, first we all need to work towards, kind of dissolving that I, which I think is really difficult. But yes, we have to make a conscious effort to try at least.
But Srinivas, what you're saying, if you can do that, if you can, what you're saying is basically practice of non-attachment. what you've just defined, that look, I've understood it and let me just be the observer. If you can truly practice non-attachment, then yes, you got it. But
Yes,
then it's not
Guruji.
about a mental practice, right? Because the mental practice is nothing but the mind playing tricks on you again. So here, what I've always told you is right knowledge, right understanding. That's the first, which is knowing the truth. The second part is when you practice non-attachment or surrender or self-inquiry, right, in your lives, you begin to remember this truth constantly. That is why you're able to practice non-attachment. But the real experience, the direct experience which you will have is to be the truth. Non-attachment should not be a practice anymore. You should be non-attachment yourself.
Yeah, that part I believe I need to understand, Guruji. I want to conclude. I know that this is taking time. See, when you recognize that there is an headset on you and you cannot escape it, what is this pure consciousness that you can reach when there is the headset on you? I'm unable to understand how anyone can reach this pure consciousness that we are talking when they have the body and mind. Is death the reliever and the thing that allows us to find what is there beyond? Or within the body itself, are you suggesting that mind and body can be dissolved and reach the state of that pure consciousness? See,
That
we
is,
are here
that
with
is,
body and mind today
yeah,
conversing.
right.
So, how you can overcome this is my question. I understood
So, okay,
Maliniji's.
all right. So let's do this. That you talk about the headset. The only reason you say that as long as my headset's on and I'm identified with the reality within the headset, you start believing that the headset has become part of you. And that is now a part of the headset, and anything that it is now showing or doing or feeling within the headset, that's your reality. But what if you remember and realize that it's just the headset? It's still there, but you now know that it's the headset. It's on.
Right. Yeah, that place I am right now.
That
But
place you are, right?
yes, yes,
So this is the same way. What if within your mind, if the mind, if there are no thoughts, if it dissolved, then the body is just looked as an instrument for observation. Today, you're using your body, your instruments or senses as something to engage and then get entangled into the day to day lives and start believing that whatever you're sensing in relative reality is real. What if these change and become just tools of observation?
yes, Guruji. I reached that state is what I am saying. I'm able to identify that because I started as a single cell. Somehow this big body came, and also information from different places reached me. With that, I am forming opinions, ideas, and these debates are trying to figure out what it is, all that is happening. So my beginning point, I don't have any information. I have all this information now, which is from the outside world. So everything that I'm seeing or feeling may not be real. Is I understood. After that, what I'm unable to understand.
So now,
But
so all of this is
to
coming.
achieve,
Wait, one second. So now you have to stop analyzing. Can you now take all this information and stop analyzing?
Yes,
Right? That means that you have no opinion. You only say state of no opinion. If
yes,
you stop analyzing, you have
right,
no opinion whatsoever on anything.
right. Yes, sir.
If you can remain in that state all the time,
Right.
24/7,
Yes.
try that.
Yes. Yeah.
That means you have no absolute no analysis and you're not trying to figure anything out.
Right. So just I'm
Yeah.
watching the pixels that are on the screen rather than interpreting the movie and
Correct.
characters, what is happening, all that.
Correct.
Yes, yeah. I
Correct.
blank out of the movie that is playing on the screen.
Okay. So now, when you blank out of the movie on the screen, what is it that internally you feel or experience?
Nothing, right? There is nothing to
Nothing.
experience.
Nothing,
No
right? So,
experience.
no experience. So when there is no experience, right? What is, are you at peace?
Yes.
You are, right? Does that peace bring you anything? Joy or no joy?
I don't have again opinion on that. I'm
No
just no
opinion on that.
opinion state. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So can you remain in that 24/7?
Yes, yeah.
You got it? If you are in that state 24/7, then you should not be asking me any questions whatsoever.
I totally agree with that, Guruji. There are no questions. That's where I get confused when questions come. And this is also contradicting what I am saying when I say I get confused. Yeah, no questions are there. Yes.
Yeah, Guruji, can I say something?
Sure.
I is a part of universe. Universe is composed of many, many eyes. And then the universe is a combination of eyes when it is there. I is also convertible and dissolvable with universe on its own. So at that moment, we do not have any questions, and only realization and slowly will be part of the universe in any way. There, there are many eyes in the universe, space and universe in that. So
Right.
that is
Now, so let's go back to where we started. So has anybody ever the different paths of figuring this out will all lead to a single path of the realization of this I. Does this I exist or does not exist?
at one stage
Or
it exists, right? At one stage
yeah,
it exists, another stage it combines with many things in the universe. So it is a continuous
yes,
process of
correct.
yeah,
Good, good. So what you're saying is when it combines with so many different things
yeah,
or attaches itself or takes ownership of all of these things,
right,
it moves from being its original I of
yes,
no state of opinion or just pure consciousness to start identifying and becoming something,
yeah,
right? In this case, it becomes Pete, becomes Matt, it becomes Poonam, right? So it starts first taking a
uh-huh,
form, and the form starts taking a name, starts taking ownership.
right,
So the question that I had was, is this I? Have you ever gone in rather than being attracted or engaged with external things that are happening, whether you're seeing or hearing or analyzing? Have you stopped for a moment, taken a step back, and tried to figure out where is the origin of this I? Where did it start from? Where did it come from? Because without the first thought, as we say, the I is the first thought, the I thought, because without the I thought, there are no more thoughts. It has to start from somewhere. So we say that the first thought is called the I thought. And that I thought is not yet, it's just at now pure consciousness. It's just basically being conscious of itself.
mhm,
The I becomes, once it starts attaching itself, it starts taking the shape of all the external things that are happening. So if you can go back and figure out what is the starting point of its original as at the time that it had started as the first thought. That is the first practice. The who am I is the practice of trying to figure out what is the origin of this I
mhm,
before it even gets dissolved into nothingness, as what Anil was saying. But that part of trying to attain nothingness, you don't have to do anything. That is the beauty of this whole thing. That thing is always there, whether you believe it or not believe it, or whether you get to it or not get to it. The original state of being, which is silent and still, is always there. That is you. Whether you know it or not, whether you experience it or not, whether you believe it or not, that is always there. So you cannot get to that or attain or achieve it, because how can you achieve something that is already there? You are that. So the only thing that needs to disappear is what has appeared to have appeared. The only thing that can disappear is what's not there, right? What appeared to have appeared is needs to disappear. So just the way it has appeared, it will disappear on its own if you just be an observant, as Srinivas is saying. If you can be just an observer all the time, 24/7, then there's nothing really to be done. Nothing to be done, nothing to be heard, nothing to be thought of, nothing to be
Probably,
engaged with.
yeah, probably that is itself is a consciousness.
That is it.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything is consciousness. When identified, it becomes the world. When not identified, it becomes your consciousness.
Oh,
But
I
it
see.
is, that's it. It's the same thing. When it is identified with the movie, it's the world.
Yes.
When it's not identified, it's pure consciousness.
I think that is a secret. I think now he exposed it. Yeah, I think so.
I think conceptually, I think this makes sense, and this is the truth, right? What just Sri Ashish said, exactly the truth. But we have to check ourselves when we are in a difficult situation. And if you're able to remain happy in that natural state, peaceful and happy in a difficult situation, then you really understood it. Otherwise, it remains a conceptual knowledge. We all acknowledge that it exists. It is a fact. It's truth. But you have to keep checking. And that's where I think the whole point of all this, at least from my perspective, and I think this is what Buddha wanted to find out, how to reduce the suffering. So when you have those situations, and if you understood that when we are identifying this is the world where the suffering exists, and when we are basically in our original state, there's no suffering. Even though the body will have pain, body will suffer, emotions will be there, all the miseries will be there, but you are not feeling it. You're not able to, you're not appreciating it because you are originally in that the truth state. And keep checking yourself. That's what I do. Are you check yourself when you don't get a business contract? Does it hurt you? When you get sick, you still say, yeah, this is part of kind of living, but I'm not really disturbed. Me, meaning the real truth, is not being touched. You're completely non-attached to the things that are happening in the world. You're still in the same peaceful happiness state all the time.
I think it's
But
well said.
non-attachment is
Yeah.
only possible if you dissolve the I. Otherwise, non-attachment is not possible at all. You need to dissolve. So, as Mr. Srinivas said, that he is always an observer. So that means that anything happening in your life, it should not bother you, right? Because it is not real. It is not happening to you, though it is happening to you, but because you're not associating it with yourself, it's not happening to you, right? So the crux of the thing is that you have to dissolve the I, because only if you dissolve the I, the non-attachment is possible.
Actually, we
So
are
to
in the
get to that
process.
stage,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
we are all
ac-
trying.
Actually, we all try to get dissolved. That is the
Yes,
process of
it's
achieving a consciousness.
yes,
So
yes.
it is
I mean,
automatically happens.
it's like saying, like, so is this is just an example. So what we need to do, that if we have a member in the family who requires medical attention, right? But so what do? Do we give it? Do we not give it? Or do we just be an observer and watch? Because what do we do?
Is that the question?
Yes, it's a
We
question.
absolutely
What do
take
we
care
do?
of the person. We absolutely take care of the person with all your
Absolutely
might, with
take care
all
of the
your
person.
resources.
So that means you're attached. Where is the
No, 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 no. That's
non-attachment?
the difference. That's the difference. You do in the non-attachment fashion. You're not attached. You're providing the service. You're doing whatever you can, but you are not affected by the outcome or what actually happens to that person. You're completely not in the ideal situation. You are because you're not sort of like saying that you will actually make a difference here. You are doing your job, what is actually required, but you
So
are not
you are doing
affected
your job.
inside.
So,
The
so
body
Anilji,
and
so
the
you are
mind,
doing your job.
yeah.
Okay, so here there is a lack of understanding. So the question to be asked is not whether you need to provide or do the action. The question is to ask is who is the doer? See, if you understand this very correct, if you understand and you live this, that the I is only a thought, is an illusion, then in this case, if something which does not exist cannot exist, that means that anything and everything that is happening, there's something else that is driving it. And the way that I has been structured, the functional I, is nothing but a tool to play out the drama. What has happened is that this entity has started to believe that it is the I, and it has limited itself within that box. So it starts to believe that if it is the doer.
Guruji, for that I'll give an example. Of after our 10-minute meditation, you ask the meditator to come out slowly from that state. The same way, at present, we are in life attached to emotions and karma, which is not a instantaneous thing to get out of it and disconnect from the emotion. The karma and emotion are holding and giving the I, and after having 200 classes also, it may not be easy to disconnect from it and come out, just like we are not able to come out of the meditative state into this awakened state in an instant.
So when it will happen in an instant. Because pure consciousness is right here, right now. When you will wake up in an instant. When you are in deep sleep, what happens? If I come and shake you, and I shake you, and then I shake you really hard, you wake up instantly, in an instant. You don't say, okay, I will wake up after slowly after 5 hours. You wake up. So remember that when the awakening will happen, it will happen like that. And it can happen now. If you get it, you get it.
Yep. I understand what you are saying, Guruji, but at least the visible world, the way it is functioning is
Yes,
there is a lag.
there is a lag, right? So, which is why practice is required. But what the question was is that, look, should I or should I not provide treatment or help to the person who is undergoing, who's needs help?
But who is
The
there after enlightenment? Who is there to asking for the help,
yeah,
or what help has to be provided? There is nothing to act upon, right?
correct.
But
So
to get to that enlightenment, there are some stages, right, Mr. Srinivas?
Yeah,
yeah,
I totally
Right?
agree,
Because
ma'am.
enlightenment is not going to happen in an instant, right?
Right, right.
So there are some stages to reach that enlightenment, right? So this is during the course of those, basically, right? First dissolve the I, then disconnect, with the world around you. There should be no emotions. So if there are no emotions, then there is no reaction. There is no feeling. So automatically you're non-attached, right? So when you're
Agreed.
non-attached, then what do you do in such a situation?
You will be at peace.
No,
Actually,
no, I'll be at peace,
Malini
but
where
what
the
happens to the
conflict is,
person? Of
he
course,
will
I
be
will
at
be at
peace.
peace. The day I'm non-attached, I'll be at
I am in concurrence with you, Malini ji. My only debate is with Anil ji, where he is saying that he want to fully engage with the senses, but at the same time non-detached. So somewhere there is a gap that yeah, I have to jump in Anil ji's argument, where you do everything. Again, there is pure consciousness. You are not attached. So all these pieces are not fitting perfectly.
correct. For me
Uh,
also, they are not fitting, Mr.
yeah,
Srinivas.
yeah.
Yeah, so I will continue to say the thing, right? You're gonna do whatever you need to do, right? But you are not attached to it. That's what actually it really means, because you have to live the life that you have. If you see somebody sick, you go and help out. But don't expect that your help could actually make the person better, or if you do not provide any help, that he will feel bad about it. You are unattached on both the sides, but you continue to do. This is what Gita says. You have the duty to do certain things. At the same time, you remain unattached to that. That's the real freedom. As soon as you
Again,
get
I am
attached,
agreeing
the
with you,
freedom goes
Anilji.
away. Yeah.
Again, I am agreeing with your talk, Anilji, the whatever you said. But that is not this what Guruji is talking and non-duality. Some of these concepts are mingled in such a way we are onto
Yes,
different things.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. So there is no, the question here again is that who's the doer? Anil keeps saying that you have to do it. So
Hmm.
there is no doer.
Well, you have to do it, Ashish. There, the concept here is, you may be the vehicle to provide the medical help. It may not be your free will. It is that your thoughts are such that you actually go and provide medical help to the person who needs help, right?
Right.
You may
So
not, because there's no you, right?
correct.
If we actually
Correct.
really believe that we are the consciousness alone and nothing else, then there's no you.
Correct.
There's
So
no one
if
who's sick,
correct. So if there is
correct?
no you,
And there's
then
no sick
whether
person.
correct. So whether you provide or don't provide is irrelevant. Because if within the script or the dream drama, Malini Kejriwal has to provide assistance, will provide. And if she does not, is not, will not provide, will not provide. So
But who is
what happens?
Malini? There's no Malini here.
There's no, exactly. So it's just an instrument. So the whole issue here is of doership. And this is where you have to go back to figure out how this, where is this doership coming from? Who am I? Are you this individualistic entity that is functioning or making the decisions and doing and taking ownership of it? Or is it something behind all this?
Well, it's like a dream, right? You are
Correct.
actually, so this is kind of exactly like a dream. In the dream, you think that snake is chasing you, right? But there's no snake and there's no you.
And
So,
that will only come when you experience this. Direct experience, when you know this not as an intellectual knowing, but as actually being this.
correct,
There's no other
correct,
way to it. I given
correct.
an example, we will go around this argument in circular argument for the next, for kingdom come. And that is why we say that direct experience is important, because a lot of people can have an intellectual understanding, can convince themselves intellectually that this is what it is. But in practicality, it doesn't happen. And because it does not happen, because they don't practice these things. If you won't practice, non-attachment to what it actually means will never happen. You will never experience non-attachment in its truest sense, which is what is non-attaching to whom. You will actually experience that. There is nothing to be attached to and nothing that is being attached to. That whole cause and effect of thought converting to energy to matter, this whole karmic footprint or dream is not there in the first place. And this is when happens that once you have a realization, and when I say realization, it is not an intellectual realization. It is an actual realization. Just the way you today realize that you are Srinivas, you actually realize that there is nothing there to realize. Because intellectually, what is intellect? It is a combination of the mind. It's just another tool. It is limited itself. So this is where the difficulty is, because intellectual, I explained to Srinivas and Rachel yesterday, intellectual superiority, having a high IQ does not mean that you're wise. Does not equate to wisdom. Wisdom is silence. That's the definition of wisdom. If you're at absolute silence, you're wise.
Yes, Guruji. Then we should not watch the movie. See, the only way you don't get attached to the movie is by not watching the movie. Or I don't know how you can have a split mind where observing the movie is happening and also recognizing that those are characters will be happening at the same time.
Again, you're intellectually thinking this. You
Mm.
start, Srinivas, stop intellectualizing. Start practicing.
Yes, sir.
You are lost in intellectualization. You want an answer without practicing. You want to know the end without going through the journey. The beauty of this is that when you reach the end of the journey through the practice, you realize that there was no journey in the first place. But unfortunately, when I tell you this, you don't get it. You have to go through this.
And how would you know that you got it?
You will know. That experience, there is no question. When you are in a constant thought-free state, you got it. That experience of pure consciousness, there is no other experience like that.
Yeah,
I think Matt
you
asked
know,
me that same question when I met him. He said, Ashish, how do you know you got it?
yep. And then there is a practical answer to this question, which is when you're not suffering, when you don't have guilt, when you do not have any kind of unhappiness, and you're peaceful all the time, then you know you got it. That's a practical definition of whether you got it or not.
It's a thought-free state, Anil. You don't get any
Yes,
thoughts.
yes, correct. I mean,
Because,
not
see,
thought-free
because
state. It's the state.
it is a thought, because the I dissolved. Without the I, there are no other thoughts.
Right, but from if you're living body and living mind, the thoughts will be there.
They don't,
The realization is that you are not being affected. Things around it.
very,
That's it.
very little, Anil, no thoughts. They don't show up. They're very little. Like, like you have to force yourself to have a thought. It's the other way around. It when you
And
You
that
still
would
experience
be
it,
eat. You
complete
still
bliss.
you'll
walk.
learn.
That
You
would
still
be complete
no. You
complete
still
bliss.
eat. You still walk. You
You
still actually do things, and that
you
requires these thoughts.
no, they come out. You when you experience it, you'll know.
Yeah, that would be complete state of bliss.
That's why it's called a blissful state.
And then you are
Imagine
immobile.
no thoughts. How wonderful.
Yeah, then when it's really,
How
you see,
wonderful.
Anil, remember you told me sometimes that you had this when you were in your own home, you had a temple, right?
Yeah,
And you actually were standing outside temple, but you were seeing yourself doing the actions.
correct.
Remember, you told me that you had
Yeah,
this
yeah,
whole
yeah,
out
yeah.
of body experience where
Yes,
you were standing at the gate of your temple, but you could still see yourself as Anil Joshi doing performing the activities inside the temple.
correct. I did have that experience, and I think it was for a very, very short period of time.
Yeah, yeah.
But right?
Now,
Yeah.
now, what if you can have? What if that is what you have all the time?
All the time.
Yeah, but that is, I think, we are okay with that. What I'm saying is that the from the physiological perspective, when you're going to do a walking, talking, and moving around, right? The thoughts are needed. You are completely, out of body mind experience, thinking that this is what's happening to an Anil, which has a form, and I'm just the consciousness. You can have that sense. What I'm saying is that the thoughts still kind of be there in the body and mind.
Yeah, and whatever Anil is saying makes sense to me, Guruji. It's
Okay.
when we are in the body and mind, how this is carrying to tomorrow unless we have thoughts, and all the time out of body. See, all the time. I do not know how you are defining. What is the meaning of all the time? It
24/7.
All
depends
the
on the
time means
definition of that.
all the time means all the time. At that
24/7.
point, there is no time itself. The
Then I think
time,
that comes only with the body and mind dissolution. Like we have to
no,
die. That's all.
no, because you are now
No,
one with you're one with everything, and you're everything with one.
correct.
Everything else is dissolved.
When
No
I said
boundaries,
die,
no limitation.
may not be body death, like brain death also possible. What I am saying is conscious functioning should not be there. Like these conversations should not be there.
Srinivas, everything, it's not there in the first place.
Yep, I
So,
agree.
so do
There is
do
a
you get
headset still.
no? But Ashish doesn't get thoughts all the time. He's Are you thought free?
Not yet.
Not yet. But you're much better than what it used to be, right? The thoughts
Oh,
would have
matlab,
reduced by.
I have to force myself to have thoughts.
But
It,
his body is still there. He's still moving around. He's still eating, drinking, sleeping,
Mm.
doing his daily duties, errands, whatever you may call it, right? But he's saying that thoughts are like very minimal, right?
yeah, they're not,
Oh, wonderful.
and whatever the thoughts come also, they don't bother anything. They're just there. There's no identification with those thoughts.
I think I
So
will
you don't have to
request
die or don't
Poonamji
have to be
to
brain dead.
uh, Poonam, do you have any thoughts? You have sort of like, you had a very good, comments and understanding when you talked about in the beginning. Any further thoughts?
Um, yeah, I've been thinking, and of course,
Stop,
a lot of thoughts.
stop it, stop it, stop
Stop.
thinking.
Okay. So yeah. So this is the intellectualization of it. So now I'm having many thoughts. So the thoughts of Rama and Krishna. So these are like dualism. So I'm not so we have spoken about how the Krishna has written Gita, and then in Gita, all of us know that this is we are talking about. So we understand the Atma part of it. Your question was, where does this I, what is the birthplace of I? So ये I कहाँ से आता है? So this I is so in Gita they say that the soul is, it is not even not born and it doesn't die. So then there is, when there is no birth, there is no death, and there is this consciousness. All right, so that is one intellectualization. And then these were avatars. They were doing their duties, but then they were not there in their I form. They were performing all the karmas. In Gita, Krishna has written. So the question Anil ji or maybe Srinivas had कि वो फिर कुछ करेगा नहीं. Sorry, pardon me for speaking in Hindi, because जो व्यक्ति कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस में है वो कैसे खाता है, पीता है, चलता है, उठता है. तो कृष्णा का उत्तर ये था कि वो वैसा ही खाता है, पीता है, उठता है, चलता है, काम करता है. The only difference is that the person is in Krishna consciousness. वो सब कुछ मुझको समर्पण करके करता है. Right? This is the little of Gita which I understand. वहां तक समझ आया. I could understand to that point. Now this is Ashish ji is probably trying to take it a step further. So what I am trying to understand again, intellectualizes, of course, the body is feeling pain and mind, and so all this thing is not there. So we are pure consciousness. That means, so keep reminding that this is like consciousness and have the emotions and do whatever you are doing and still be aware that this is like a movie which is happening, as if I've played a role in a movie and now the movie is complete and now I'm sitting and watching the trailer of the movie, you know. So whatever is
So
happening is
what?
happening.
Okay, so why don't you deep dive into what you said about the Gita Sar? So in the same way, so just for Matt, I think who did not understand Hindi, Matt, what she was saying is that the Bhagavad Gita says that um, there is no individual soul because the soul is never born and hence there's no death. And because of that, that when you attained or when you have realized your original state of being, what she's saying is that what Bhagavad Gita says is Krishna says, like, look, you're still doing, you're eating, you're sleeping, your normal functions, but you're doing it from a place of being in pure consciousness or in Krishna consciousness, as they call it, right? Or Christ consciousness. So at that point, what you're saying that everything has been done because you have now dissolved everything into me, which is what Krishna was telling Arjun, that you have now dissolved everything into me, and I'm the one who's driving everything, whether it's through you or through the whole creation. So Poonam, if you take that and really think about what it's saying, how is it different from what we've been saying?
Yeah, it's the same.
I believe that was easier for me to understand. So, because that was duality. So, I have given all the responsibility to Krishna. So, for me, for my mind, there is this figure, there is this deity, there is this angel, or there is this some superpower which is controlling everything.
Right.
So,
So what
that my
Krishna is
eye
saying,
is
correct. So
right.
what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita is, if you read the full Bhagavad Gita, the Sar is
Mm,
that the beginning, the end, and the middle is all me. There is nothing else but me.
right.
And everything else is an expression of me.
But what you have just said is exactly what Ashish is saying, Poonam.
Yeah,
बिल्कुल
so
वही
I'm
है.
not exactly, I'm not contradicting. I'm just saying that
Hmm.
this is how I understand it.
Very
But
good.
it
You
is
know,
very
So,
beautifully said. Very beautifully said. And that
right.
is the truth.
So if you take that and instead of taking Krishna as in replace Krishna as Krishna consciousness,
Hmm.
Mm,
forget Krishna to
okay.
be this
God.
individualistic figure,
Mm-hmm.
but take that God to be pure consciousness.
Correct.
Then
Mm,
what it's saying is that it's me. I am the one that is
Right.
dreaming and creating this creation and it is me that is doing everything else. And eventually I am got identified, and I will then eventually figure out how to get disidentified.
So you are also me.
So
We are all
everything
one.
is
right.
me, and me is everything, which is what non-dualism means. There is no two. There is no
Okay.
Krishna and you. There is just
Correct.
Yeah,
Krishna.
yeah. I think that is a pure and pure consciousness when there is no distinction between me and the universe and also Krishna or anything. I'm part and entity of everything.
That's
So
it.
there should not be any feeling, emotion, anything at that moment.
Because everything is you. Any
Yes,
feeling,
yes, right,
emotion, non-emotion,
right. Everything.
time,
Yes,
space, birth, no birth, death is all
right,
you.
right. Even to realize that one for few seconds itself is a consciousness. If we extend that few seconds to longer, I mean that although it is
That is
very
the
difficult.
reality.
So if you understand it that way, then hold on to that. Just replace an individual Krishna and you as Poonam and make it just everything is consciousness. That is the sar of
Right.
Bhagavad Gita. That is what the sar of the Bible is also. There is
Mm-hmm.
one topic of Christ, we say, that I am the Alpha and the Omega and everything else in between. That is exactly what it means. Exactly what you said, where you say Krishna consciousness is called Christ consciousness on the other side.
So yes, thank you so much, Guruji. So I would not say that I am all the time in this consciousness, but then whenever I'm in this consciousness that Krishna is the doer and Krishna, you're taking care of everything. For me, it's like, oh Krishna, you are taking. I mean, you know the plan. You everything is being taken
So,
care of
Yeah.
by you.
so you will know when you will come to an end. You know, when Anil is asking, how will you know? When this whole thing about Krishna, I am giving this to Krishna, where Krishna and you will merge into one. You will become Krishna.
Yes. I
Okay. So
think
I am,
the
Abhi, right now I'm at two stage.
Y-
For
Yeah.
me, the
Right now
Krishna
you're
is,
you're still thinking of Krishna as an outside
yes,
entity.
yes,
Krishna and you will become one and the same because that is who you already are.
okay,
This whole force which has created two will once again become one.
right. Thank you. So for a very long time, I felt very relieved. So when I had this loss in my life, and then at that time, this consciousness hit me. So Krishna said that I'm taking care of, you know, I
yes.
have, I mean,
So,
you don't
And
have to worry.
yeah,
Everything is being taken
and
care
this
of.
illusion of two, because it is all consciousness, can only happen as a thought.
Hmm.
The idea or the concept of two is nothing but a thought. And hence, when you look at the source of all thoughts, you find out that it's nothing but pure consciousness, which is nothing but you, which is the whole practice of where we had started today as to trying to get you to think about what thought is and trying to bring you back to it.
Right. So right. Thank
so
you. Yes.
yeah. In short, when the gap between you or me and God, God is taking care. That gap is dissolves, then we have a absolute consciousness.
Yeah. So please remember that gap is the illusion.
Yes, correct. I think that is a good discussion. I like that. That is the truth actually.
Yeah. That gap does not exist. It
Yes,
only appears to exist.
right, right.
All right. I think we're at 11:30. Should we stop it here?
Yeah. So that
Rachel,
is
today
Yes.
you're the young one on this call. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Matt, what do you think? Something different from
Um,
what from your yoga?
um, no, not. I mean, it's these are things that I have been thinking about for so long, especially since I've read the Gita and trying to implement the non-attachment to my duties as a human being and just be in the world, regardless of what happens. And and thank you for the translation from Hindi. It was beautifully put, and it's just reassuring to know that these conversations are happening to help other people understand that there's a different way to live your life. So
right.
thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, I guess that's it. So thank you so much for joining. And
Thank you.
Thank
you know, as
you.
I said, we'll hopefully I'll share the first draft when it's ready, and we'll take it from there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Sounds
you.
great. Thank
That
you.
would be
Okay.
great.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye.
All
Thank
right.
you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye. Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Good night. Bye-bye.